Welcome to Film Freaks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
And Eddie Williams.
And tonight we're going to be doing another Netflix film. And this time we're going to be talking about a film that kind of came out of nowhere because I really didn't see any promotion to it until the very last minute. And it was for the month of October. We're watching more. For the month of October, we got another scary horror film that came out, which is Eli, and
which is Netflix release.
Yeah, and it's directed by Syrian Foy and stars Kelly Riley, Sadie Sink, who you may remember. She was from Stranger Things. She played Max in that show. And you also got Lily Taylor and the guy from 13 Hours, Max Martini.
And, Lily Taylor, she's from The Haunting or The Haunted, or whatever, that haunted house shit movie back in the 90s. And
the Conjuring.
Really good, known for Conjuring.
Yeah. And then in this film, it deals with a young boy named Eli who's suffering from a disease that causes him to pretty much cause like very allergic reactions to the outdoors. And he basically has to live inside this protective gear that's very actually reminiscent of this movie from the 70s called The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. And also in the 2000s, we had Bubble Boy, which was actually inspired by a real life case of a guy that dealt with immunities that were contagious from who didn't have immunities. And basically, as his parents decide to basically give him to take care of him by going to this treatment facility led by Lily Taylor's character. And we want to kind of avoid spoilers, but basically some shit goes down there. And if you see in the trailers, something's going on inside this place that becomes a later mystery.
Yeah.
And now here's a little backstory. Now this movie was directed by Syrian Foy, who I'm not really too familiar with, but I do know that he's the same director that did Sinister 2.
And which I've seen, and while I love the first Sinister, and many people will agree with me on that, it was a highly liked horror film. He dropped the ball in the second one when he got control of it, and I'm not. This isn't a review of Sinister 2, but let's just say he dropped the ball, and a lot of people like me agree that really dropped the movie. In fact, I think that's the reason why we haven't got 3.
Yeah, and apparently this movie was inspired by. This was based on this script that they had written was written in 2015, and it was on an annual survey on the 2015's blacklist of as what some people called most liked screenplays of that year that were not developed, and they finally got around.
Yeah, basically, it's one of those type of movies where people just write a screenplay and they let people vote what they like to see. And surprisingly enough, this came from MTV.
Yeah, which I threw me out of surprise because this is one of their movies I haven't noticed that they've made in a long time. And what got me from the curious was that I've heard about it kind of promoted as like, this kind of creepy kind of psychological kind of thriller. It looked kind of reminiscent of like a mixture of like that movie from a couple years ago called Morgan with that one girl, and like a little bit of Cure for Wellness kind of thing with the whole psychiatric facility.
Well, honestly, when I watched the trailers to this, I didn't really care for the secluded house part of the trailer, which it was leading to, but I was going to give it a try anyways. I was really looking forward to, and especially a lot of the trailers did show it felt like it was going to be more of a kid in a bubble, and he was just going on this big journey,
Yeah.
And maybe if they did that and you could still do like a psychological horror type thing with that. That would have been good. But
yeah.
So we decided to watch this tonight, and upon seeing it, I will say that I did not care for this film.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I found really forgettable, and I will admit, it's like other than probably the last like 10 minutes, where it kind of brings me into a kind of a very like intense mindset. The movie does feel like it really should have been a lot better than what it was going for, way better than what it could have went with.
Yeah.
But
we'll pros and cons, but to start off with the pros, I will say that the characters were good. You're not looking nothing Oscar winning, So I mean, but for what they're given for a Netflix release movie, they were good. Let's
Yeah,
just
I
put it
like.
that way. Uh,
Yeah, I did like the main guy, the main kid that played the boy, Eli. I thought he was really good, and it was also great seeing the girl that played Max off of Stranger Things do it, kind of branching out into other stuff too. So it was good seeing her. Um,
I'm glad to see somebody her branching out. There is one character I am gonna put in my con. I'll get to that in a second. But other than that, it's pretty decent. I like the whole concept with the bubble boy and the disease and the mystery behind what's causing it. That and the far, until you get to the end, you find out, and you're just like, I don't know, I'll get to that in a second. But I still like the whole like wondering what the fuck is going on with them. So it was good for what it's worth when doing that.
yeah, and I will
Uh,
admit too,
I,
the atmosphere is pretty good. I like the way it's shot, especially how they're in this secluded area. It definitely has a kind of it's hard to describe. It's like those kind of like
well,
facilities that very.
here's a little funny fact, and I have not seen it yet. Um, but a lot of people who have seen this said that they think that they're using the same house but changing around. If you guys are familiar with the Haunted Hill House, which is a Netflix movie, the producers of that are the producers of this film. And I'm not really familiar with the show. I hear a high praise for it, but I did hear a lot of people actually who saw the show said the house, while tweaked, looks like the same exact house they might have used.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I'm wanting to check that show out eventually, but it definitely does have a great secluded atmosphere, and there are moments like here and there that on a direction standpoint, it does give it a kind of creepy vibe. That I'll admit on a comparison, it did call me a little bit of like 13 Ghosts on some aspects.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go that far, but I will say that compared to a lot of paranormal films where you see these like ghosts and stuff, a lot of it's just quick cuts and stuff. While this film does have that, um, I will say that some of the looks of like what he's seeing is pretty creepy, and like the little code that he's being left to investigate is pretty cool. And then I be honest with you, before I start getting my cons, I will say that I liked the ending, but there, if the movie would have went built up towards the ending would have probably made a lot of sense. Like the ending, like I would like to see in another movie, and I'll get to why, here in a second, why I have to say it that way, because this is where we get into our cons. While I'm on the subject, I might as well spit it out. The
Yeah.
big issue in this entire film that I have is 3/4 of this movie, and then the ending is two separate fucking movies. I would say like it's in comparison watching paranormal, no, watching something like something standard like Sinister 2, and then turn it off, and then put Brightburn at the fucking end. It literally does a fucking twist. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it pretty
It's
much
two
turns into.
separate movies. You couldn't even fuck it. You can't build up on that.
Yeah, it feels like two separate films, and that's one of my biggest issues as well. Is that while I do like the ending, in some aspects to an extent, it does feel very like out of place, if that makes sense. But we
That's
won't
what I'm
spoil what
saying. It's out of
happens.
place. Even though I like the ending, I would love to see if this ending, like the ending is cool and creepy looking, but it would have been better if there was a movie building up to that. But that's the problem is there's two separate movies in this film.
Yeah,
It's like
and
it goes for more, and that was another con I have is while like the creepiness and atmosphere is decent, it sticks with the cliche shit with this fucking paranormal this mirror shit, or they're turning around or something's in the background
yeah, and
and
it
something.
just it does get very rinse and repeat with that too, because the
Yeah, it's
pacing I
very
thought
good.
really was too fucking slow because they kept
Yeah,
doing a
this
lot of
movie,
scenes
I'm gonna be
back and forth.
honest with you. Yeah, honestly, this movie was so slow. I had to pause this a lot of times. I got distracted on my cell phone. I mean, I had to pause it because I was like, it takes ever for fucking something to happen.
Yeah, because I mean, I like slow burner type movies if it does do an interesting plot with it. And at the beginning, I was kind of involved with it, but it seems like from throughout like a good portion of it, it starts to really do a lot of the same rinse and repeat scenes where you have the boy pretty much going on his own, looking around and shit, and like you were saying, they do the same shit throughout most of it.
Yeah,
And
it basically sums up like this. He's like sleeping, he hears shit, he sees shit, scary shit, and then he freaks out, and then he goes, he wakes people up, and then whatever, and then the next scene, it's the same thing, goes to bed, wakes up, sees shit again, and it just tells you just a tiny bit more than the previous one, but still feels the same scares, the same exact shit, and then
yeah,
it does it again, and does it again. It just feels like it ain't getting fucking nowhere. And I was really getting irritated with the how like rinse and repeat, and I was bored,
yeah,
but I
and
still stuck with it.
yeah, my other big problem too is that there are certain things that they kind of well, we won't spoil, but basically there's certain things that's not really explained too well about about like things about his disease and stuff that it becomes a crucial plot point that
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The whole crucial plot point of the disease that it's kind of hard to talk to about this one, even though it is a big issue for me because it is a spoiler. But there's something that's going on, and it necessarily, in a way, he never could have, should have, or had to have gone to this place, let's so to speak.
yeah this one
So it just makes it like it was a forced. Now it was forced to make a plot,
yeah
and I don't know. And while I'm at it, and I'm remembering it right now, I said earlier I had a problem with one character. While everybody did decent job, I thought the dad was kind of a bad actor.
yeah I mean that's that one guy from 13 Hours, which he was really good in, but in this one you can see that yeah it's like I didn't really have
Acting
I thought he was
just
just kind of
wasn't really all that great in this. I don't
yeah
know if it was lines he was given, but his delivery felt like soap opera-ish. I'm like, this don't make that doesn't look good. But
yeah
yeah, I mean, it's two separate films. Paranormal film into some Constantine shit, fucking Brightburn mix. I'm like, you just that does not blend together. And you can't throw what you want if it doesn't blend with the movie.
yeah Yeah, I got you. But overall, like this is one of those movies that I can see what they were kind of going for, but this really should have had a lot more potential than where it went. And other than that ending, this movie would have been like kind of like a lot more close to what I was going to originally give it. But because of that ending, I'm going to be nice and I'm going to go an extremely hanging by a thread. And I'm going to give the movie an extremely, extremely low average Joe, only because the movie became just so like standard and to the point that any kind of made up for it. It wasn't entirely like on that on that like bad level, so to speak.
Exactly. Well, unfortunately for me, while it definitely won't be making my nominations or top 10 worst, it wasn't on that level. But because it was uncalled for it being that bad, and that you just can't put fucking two separate, while in the same genre, you can't put two separate, totally different subgenres into a mix and just like that makes sense. So with that being said, I definitely won't watch this again, and I'm going to give this film a really high disaster rating on Film Freaks meter.
Fair enough. And for those of you who have also seen Eli, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel and check out some other reviews here and our website at filmfreaks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
Later.